Welcome to another Caveman's Corner. We're coming to you live from the Caveman Studios in North Buffalo. We are missing our co-host Ray, so we're not going to do our normal intro. We have a super special guest. We're going to have Anthony Ford, and then after him, we got the man, Dan Cox. All right, I'm going to give Anthony a call, and we're going to get this show on the road.
Hello.
How's it going, Mr. Ford? How you doing today?
Oh man, another day, another dollar, I guess. Man, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm doing really good. Looks like your fight date got changed. Can you tell us about it a little bit?
Oh yeah. So it's the thing when you're fighting in, I don't want to call Thailand a third world country, but it's definitely comes with its own unique issues sometimes, and we wound up with an issue at our venue where it was basically double booked. They booked two separate events on the same day. I got a phone call from our guy in Thailand, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got a problem." And I was like, So what ended up happening was the WBC arranged for this to happen. So we got put on a much bigger card. So I'm actually kind of grateful that it happened because, just to put it into perspective, it'd be like, let's say you're gonna fight on a big MMA show, but it's at a high school auditorium basically, right?
Right.
And then you get a phone call and you're like, no, the venue's been changed. You're now fighting in Madison Square Garden.
That would be a great thing, I think.
That's the Muay Thai equivalent to what basically happened. And, the World Boxing Stadium in Pattaya, it's nice, it's cool. I've fought there many times, but it's not one of the bigger stadiums. And, so it was really cool to find out that our fight had been picked up by, the Best of Siam, which is, a major promotion in Bangkok. And then our fight's now going to be at Raja Diamond Stadium. This particular card is actually the biggest fight, our biggest card of the year in Bangkok. So it's a pretty big deal. It's going to be live on Thai TV, French TV, and Sports Asia. So I get much more exposure this way. And
it sounds like a lot of exposure to the Asian markets for any sponsors that are looking to help Anthony out.
Yeah, man. Please. You know where to find me. I'm just saying. Now I'm just buzzing because you're now the main event at the MGM Grand or something. So extra pressure maybe that wasn't there before. And definitely kind of cool to be on a card like that. It was cool. They actually just released the full fight card today. They released all of it, and just basically just the biggest names in Muay Thai right now. It's an absolutely stacked card, and it's really surreal to see my name there next to some of these guys. I'm just like, oh, and you get that weird little sinky feeling where you're like, oh, I hope I didn't just bite off more than I could chew.
Hell yeah. You always post memes and inspirational videos and stuff, and one that I always like is train to be like your heroes until it's time to beat your heroes. And I like that one a lot. It's just you're going to elevate yourself up to be at the level of the people that you want, and then you're going to beat them,
Yeah, man. Well, it's one of those things where, I fought hard enough and done my stuff enough to get to this point. And now I get the opportunity to prove that I belong, on the biggest stage in my sport and hopefully achieve its biggest prize, and this is a great opportunity, and to go and show people what's up. And, it's one big thing, a lot of my Thai friends and supporters and coaches are you should be in Thailand right now preparing. And, and they might be right. But, they're always trying to get me, to fight, Thai style, and against the Thai. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't for me. And, I'm really looking forward to just being able to go out and just fight the way I fight and take the fight to him and push him in a way that he's probably not used to, in a pace and a rhythm that he's probably not used to. We'll take it to him and see where that takes us, man. I'm just fucking stoked. You might think we're gonna have a nice little technical Muay Thai fight. Screw that. We're gonna have a bar fight at a country western bar.
The real life
if-
Rocky
if he-
Muay Thai.
Dude, man, if he had a hockey jersey, I'd pull that shit over his head.
He'd be in trouble if you're on
Anyway.
ice. I've never voted against a Canadian in a fight on any kind of ice surface ever.
Nope. No, it's a bad idea.
So how does this change in date and venue affect your training when you have to fly over to Thailand? Did you already have plans set and your weight cut and how is that all going to go now that everything's different?
It's definitely affected like my weight cut and that kind of stuff. I mean, in a way, it's actually kind of nice because I get a few more weeks of prep time, and I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Like I felt like I kind of really needed it. The weight cut's actually coming a lot smoother now. Like I feel really good. I keep losing a pretty like considerable amount of weight, and I'm feeling like I'm pretty good right now. Which is for me to be 3-4 weeks out from a fight and this close in weight is not not normal for me. So it means things are going well and that diet's going well, training's going well. So yeah, feeling good, man.
That sounds awesome. Is it financially more difficult now because are you going to be in Thailand longer? Are you still going down the same original date? How does all that work?
No, I'm actually going to be heading out probably on the 16th. And I'll be there, basically about 5 days out or 6 days out, and I'll get there just in time to kind of shake the jet lag and do my last weight cut and maybe sharpen up a little bit with the Thai trainers. I know I'm going to have a film crew with me for most of the time there, doing like a behind the scenes documentary. So there'll be a little bit of that.
Damn,
and
man, you're going to be famous.
You're
going to be famous, dude.
I don't know the famous.
That's awesome. Gotta get on Netflix.
Dude, I'm hoping, dude. I'm hoping.
Who's doing the documentary?
I think Dan is setting that up. We got a guy in Thailand who's like a videographer, and he's going to be basically following me around. And then we're going to be basically putting together all the footage and putting it together. So, man.
I'm having Dan on right after you, so I'll get a hold of him and find out what's going on with that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, man, he knows more about that mumbo jumbo. I just punch people. Yeah, I can't even tell you. I'm just stoked. It's at a point now where I'm just like chomping at the bit, just getting ready to go. I'm excited how much like people are getting behind it and how much, it seems like I'm getting a lot more community support, in regards to the other fighters and like, people that are stepping up to try and come and help and come down for sparring and do things like hold pads and that kind of stuff. That's been amazing. Speaking of which, you guys we're having a big sparring day here this next Saturday. You're more than welcome to come down.
Yeah, Carol just gave me the invite on Facebook today. She just told me about it. I'm talking to some of my better Thai friends. I'm not going to bring down no one that's going to waste your time, but I got a couple of friends from other gyms. So
bodies are like, they don't have to be like amazing or nothing, because I want to have like a big group. So even if they're not necessarily sparring with me directly, there's still going to be lots of other guys around. So we're going to have some guys coming down from Toronto as well. I'm hoping to get like a really solid group of guys together for a good training day, good atmosphere, good positive vibes.
Man, that sounds really good.
Yeah, man.
We got a lot of guys with fights coming up for us too, so maybe we get some people down there for you. Should be good.
Yeah, man, that'd be amazing.
So now that you're going to be fighting the biggest fight of your life, you're a few days out when you get to Thailand. How much contact are you going to have? I know the Thais train pretty hard right up until the fight. Do you do that? Or what's going to be your regiment for this fight?
I know that I'm going to get there and I'm going to be like, I don't really do the whole like deload week thing either. Like I train pretty much all the way up until the day of the weigh-in. I go super duper hard. But I get right in there. I won't be sparring or anything like that in Thailand. Maybe get a little bit of clinching in just to kind of get my grounding. But yeah, man, it's business as usual. Get there, one of the first things I always do when I land is I go for a run, just to kind of get my body awake. And, next day I get right into training. I'll hit pads, and a lot of what I'll be doing that few days is cutting the last few kilos. And, and then away we go.
You told us an interesting story about your pad holders during the seminar, about how you're trying to make them crap their pants. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I got this weird thing, and it's usually because I got these a couple of pad holders that they like to they always like to show that they're tough and that they can still take a hit. So they'll do stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, kick me, do this," and I'll be like, "Oh, it's probably not a good idea." And then they're like, "Do it," and I'm like, "All right, just so you know, sometime before camp's over, I'm gonna make you shit your pants. It's just gonna happen." And so far, it's happened to everybody, right? So it's one of those things where I'm known for body shots. I'm pretty dirty with them. I got a pretty sneaky left kick in the body, and and I'm gonna hit that liver whether you got a belly pad on or not. And yeah, man. So far, I've made almost everybody poop. The only one guy I haven't made poop yet is Crew Roger here. That's because I can never get the guy to hold pads for me for more than a day.
He's smart.
Yeah, man. It'll happen one day.
I'll hold pads for you, but not in Canada. I'm not going across the border with dirty drawers.
No worries. Oh, man. But yeah, man, I just, it's like a big running joke because, it just seems to happen. Got wind up nailing some guy in the guts, and I don't know, maybe he had McDonald's before he came to hit passes me or something. I don't know.
That'd be a good meme.
It seems to happen to everybody at least once.
That'd be a great meme for you. You can just take a picture of someone in dirty drawers, and so you want to be a Muay Thai fighter.
Dude, man, it's like a genuine goal of mine. Every time I fight, I'm like, dude, if I could make this guy shit his pants, that'd be I'd just retire. There's nothing else that can compare to that. I'm like, if I could win a world title and make a guy shit his pants, bro, there's just nothing. There's nothing else to experience.
Especially in a giant stadium on ESPN. That'd be, can't do better than that.
Dude, man. Yeah. I'm like, what's left there to achieve? I've done it all. It's all over it.
The instant replays of the stain just getting bigger and bigger. Oh, it's brutal.
I don't know, man. It's funny. There's all these old stories of guys you've seen the ones that there was one of I think it was a year ago, a guy shit his pants in an amateur MMA fight. There was full on turds on the mat, right?
The heavyweight guys, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was there's a really old one. I think it might have been Tim Sylvia, but you might have to check on that one.
Romero crapped his pants too.
Yeah,
Anthony Romero.
Happened, man.
Or Yoel Romero, I mean. He crapped his pants.
Yoel Romero, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, you got weight cut issues or whatever, and all of a sudden you're eating, and then you got to go work really hard. Yeah, man.
Take one to deliver. We have a guy on our team, Mickey Gaskins. He crapped his pants before too, in an MMA fight, in the second round, and then probably getting a third round because his team kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Man, that was pretty brutal. And it's even worse than MMA because then you got to grapple with the guy with the dirty trunks. It's pretty rough.
I'm amazed they didn't stop it. Isn't that kind of a rule?
It is now. It wasn't then. Now there's a rule if you poop yourself, throw up, or pee yourself, you lose at the TKO. Before that, there's no rule.
That's gross.
It is gross. You're the guy making everyone poop.
Oh, man.
I heard a story that you're scared of butch lesbians. Is that true?
Okay, so so I don't know if you've heard this story. Okay, I don't know if Dan finished how that is.
He did not.
So, all right. So So you know that I was a dancer before I was a fighter, right?
Right. Yep. Ballet.
Yeah, man. So one of my first jobs ever dancing, where I got paid to dance, was actually as a backup dancer for a drag show. True story. And my roommate at the time was a professional drag queen, and that's how I kind of got the job. And frankly, I wasn't even old enough to be in this club, but I got the job anyway. And anyway, I just remember there was this like pack of like, fuck, I can't even describe these women to you. Like, it was like the most surreal thing for a teenage, almost adult man to like experience, especially one like me who kind of grew up in a bit of a bubble. Like, dude, like, it was ridiculous. Like, they would show up to the bar with like a strap on underneath their jeans. And like they were evil, just absolute pure evil, and they would say the like most horrific things. And I remember just being like scarred for life, and I'm still scarred, right? So now, like, we're dealing I run into lesbians all the time, and I'm always like, you scare me, and they're like, why? And I'm like, well, this is why. And then I tell them, and they're like, that's fucking horrible. And I'm like, yeah, well, it is how it is.
That's crazy.
So
that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had some experiences close to that in Thailand as well.
You know what, man? I gotta tell you, I haven't had like all the like, you hear all the guys that are like, oh man, and then this happened, you got to be a man, and I'm like, really? You couldn't tell? Like, you can tell. Like, you can tell, like, right away.
I hope so.
I think maybe my time spending time with drag queens prepared me for my time in Thailand.
on the job
like,
training.
I know. I'm like, how do you not know? Like, I mean, like, how do you not know? I'm so confused. Right? Like, I can point out a lady boy like walking down the street a mile up. I'm like, that's a lady boy. So.
Is there really a large population of transsexuals in Thailand?
Yeah, there's way more than here for sure. Like, I think it's just looked at so differently. Like, they just don't see it the same way we do. Really, to be honest with you. So yeah, there definitely is. It's just not. They just don't make a big deal out of it, right? Like. Here, it's like, I should say in the States, like, people really, like, genuinely, like, it's a really big deal.
Right.
Whereas some places in the world, it's just not. Like, people just don't care. They're like, yeah, whatever, do you? And Thailand's one of those places where it's just like, it's really just not that big of an issue. Like,
is the pace of Thailand more like that in general? Not just, like, socially, but, like, like job-wise and politically, and just everyone's kind of more laid back?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, Thais are super-duper laid back, and in some ways, they're not laid back at all. They're super intense. But, like, politically, like, I couldn't tell you much about Thai politics, just to be honest with you, because I know nothing about it other than it can be corrupt and, and there's a king.
Right.
And I know that, the new king is maybe not quite as loved as his father, but, the Thais, they're behind their royalty, like 100%, always. So, it's just one of those things. But yeah, like when it comes to that kind of stuff, or like sexuality and that sort of stuff, like, it's a non-issue there. It's not even something they like, it's not even a big deal.
I like it. And they seem pretty relaxed, especially you see, I mean, it's hard to know because we're only exposed to the culture that is politicized on TV in America. So it's nice to hear from someone that's actually over there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, I think if you were way up in the like farming villages, maybe it'd be a little bit different, but for the most part, like, you're in Bangkok, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. you're in Pattaya, nobody cares.
Right. And that's where the fighters are going to be.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That's awesome.
So,
Since most of the people listening to this probably only seen Thailand in Bloodsport or Kickboxer or whatever one they were in Thailand in.
yeah, man, I don't know. It's always fun.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. We're going to try and make it up. You got anything else to plug? Well, I got you here.
So what were you saying one more time?
I said we're gonna try and get up there next week to get in some sparring with you. And while I got you on, do you have anything else to plug?
No, man, not really. Other than please, watch. If you can follow me on Instagram at anthony.tbs.ford. And keep, stay tuned and watch the fight. That's all I can say.
Oh, I got one more thing for you. We talked about this at the seminar, and we never really talked about it on the air. Can you talk about why you're not Anthony Ford when you fight? You're Anthony Sipaholic.
Sipaholic. No, it's Sipolek.
Sipolek. I'm sorry.
Okay, so in Thailand, fighters often adopt the name of their camp to be used as their fight name. So when you guys watch guys like, you might have remembered when Buakaw was Buakaw Porpamuk, right?
Right.
Or you might know Yotsin Klai Fairtex, right?
Right.
Well, his name is not Fairtex, he's Thai, right? When Buakaw Porpamuk was his fight name, it's because he trained at a Porpamuk gym. And, now he owns his own gym, so it's Banchamek. But that's his real last name. But his real name isn't even Buakaw, it's Sambat. So, it's one of those things where, like, you wind up using your secret identity, for lack of a better term, when you fight. And it's a way to show respect to your camp. And it's also a way of creating a little bit of anonymity when it comes to things like some of the gamblers and that kind of stuff as well.
Is it just to hide the identity from the gamblers, or is Thai fighting always been looked at as honorable, or was it coming from a dishonorable past?
Well, I don't know about honorable. Like the fighter is considered a great honor. Like I consider it a great honor when I'm given the permission to use the gym's name. Right? Like when your gym starts putting their name on your name, like when you start seeing your name on posters with the gym's name on it, like it's a big honor. Like it's not something they just toss out to everybody. So it's very cool, and especially as a foreigner, it's something that to me is really cool and I really respect. I think that using it as a way of some anonymity towards some of the gambling is definitely a part of that culture. Because gambling is a huge part of Muay Thai in Thailand. Like even things like even eating at the stadium for fighters is a big deal. Like you can't, like for example, at Lumpini, there's been issues with fighters being drugged and poisoned and these sorts of things, like in order to fix fights. So yeah, it's probably a safety issue. Try and keep people's actual names away from some of the more hardcore gamblers.
That's scarier than I thought. I wouldn't want to get poisoned right before I fight. You definitely crap your pants.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a really famous one that happened a couple of years ago, and the kid got drugged, and it was a big deal, and you could tell there's something wrong with him. And it's not something that happens all the time, and I think for the most part, the fighters in the gyms are pretty careful about certain things. And they keep you to yourself when you're there. They keep you away from people. So it keeps you safe and keeps the sport safe and keeps things honorable.
Awesome, man. I think we're going to let you go on that. And hopefully I'll see you next Saturday. And hopefully you won't knock me on the floor as many times as you did last time we sparred.
Nah, it'll be fun. All right, we'll talk to you on Saturday, man. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right, talk to you soon, man. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. That's Anthony Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Muay Thai champion. Anthony's an awesome guy. I got some training in with him at the seminar at Western New York MMA. He beat me up pretty good. I'm going to try and attach some of the movies of us sparring into the feed that you're listening to if you're listening to it on YouTube. If not, check it out on YouTube. Like always, please like and subscribe on whatever media you're listening on, whether it's Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, whatever it is. Please subscribe to us. Sorry, Ray's not here once again. He's usually the comic relief, so we're going to get right into it again, and we're going to give Dan Cox a call. Cox runs a great business, Cox's Condoms. And on top of that, he has a couple MMA shows, and he's a commentator. So we're going to talk to him about this event and maybe some UFC stuff. Mr. Cox, how you doing?
Caveman, how are you, my friend?
Good. We just had Anthony on. We talked to him about, the butch lesbians like you told me to ask him about, and some other interesting things.
Yeah. He is one interesting guy, I tell you. He has done more traveling than anybody I think I know.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to try and get down there and give him some sparring up at Muay Thai Niagara on Saturday. So if anyone's listening to this, make sure you get up there if you got some background in striking.
Well, it's always good if you're training or you're in the fight game to learn some of the techniques Anthony's got. It's an amazing thing. You look at MMA or boxing, and someone gets to 50 fights. That's crazy. But 130 or something, professional fights, and still going. That's an amazing amount of fights.
Yeah, he's just like a Thai guy. It's incredible.
His throws are just literally deadly.
I've felt a few of them, and they're not too friendly to get dumped on your buttocks.
Well, let me tell you something. The first, it was a fight in New York against a guy, and I had spoke to the guy. I had them both on my show, and he told me he lost in the first round, a minute and a half, 2 minutes in, I guess, and he went to the hospital. And what happened is Anthony was just tossing him, boom, boom, boom. He's a K1 guy. And, so he ended up with really severe whiplash. And, it was like a car wreck. He said he literally wore a collar. So
Jeez.
It's devastating, devastating.
So are you going to make it over there for this card? I heard you were commentating or something.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't miss it. There's just no way I would miss it. Biggest fight, I think, for Anthony in his whole life, to get that WBC title. I know he's a 5-time world champ, but in Muay Thai, there's a lot of titles that, unless you're a diehard, you don't even know what they are. So the WBC is what he's gunning for, and dropping to 154. I just couldn't miss it.
Yeah, he said that he's on weight and is going good. The extension from changing the original date is actually helping him out.
Yeah, I think so too. And mentally, that is one strong individual. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and the first time I had him on, I made fun of him a little bit for missing weight one time. He's like, "Let me tell you how many times I fight." And then a couple days later, I had to go spar with him. So you know how it goes.
And see, now you're just tough as hell, Jeff. And I know that to be true. And like I said, I would feel more comfortable slugging it out with Big Ray because I would see punches coming and he probably wouldn't want to grapple because I am 50 and I don't think I could do any grappling.
Yeah, you got
fairly.
You got to look out for
No
Big
rules
Ray.
for me.
He wears a stinky shirt. Every time we grapple, he puts on the stinky shirt, so I won't try and grapple him, but I don't care. I'll give that ringworm shirt a try. No big deal to me.
How would he think that would possibly work against the Caveman dance? That is just comical. You embrace the stink when you're in there.
No, he doesn't get it still. He's not here today. He's I don't know what he's doing. He's MIA. Sometimes it's tough to get Ray on time, the Puerto Rican blood. No, I'm just kidding. He had a death in his family, so he wasn't able to make it here today. He likes Anthony too. He really wanted to come on, but he wasn't able to make it today. So anyone
Now,
out there,
did he get to train with Anthony at all?
he came to the seminar, but he avoided doing rounds with Anthony. And the same thing happened when we went to a leg lock seminar down in Ohio last weekend, and he also avoided rolling with the teachers. And he proceeded to tell everyone that I was a black belt and a professional fighter, so go after me. And then he stopped sparring after he said that. So of course everyone came gunning for me. So it's been an interesting couple of seminars with Ray.
Well, you know how I feel about that, man. I respect the hell out of you for, competing as you get older. You're definitely a young man compared to myself, but it's really inspiring, brother, to watch you get out there and compete and hold your own, and be able to make Ray say uncle, probably
all the time.
And listen, I seen the pic with you and your son, and that was just so awesome. And it's I believe I asked you, is that the young caveman?
Yeah, that's my son Forrest, my youngest. He's awesome. He's been getting away from jiu-jitsu a little bit, but he came. I had a pretty good inkling I was gonna get my black belt that day, and as soon as I saw some of my friends that don't train at our gym, but I train with them like down my path to black belt. As soon as I started seeing them coming in, I knew I was gonna get my black belt that day. So I made sure I got my last rolls of brown belt with Forrest, and my first rolls of black belt was with Forrest. So.
Jeff, I gotta ask you, man. A lot of people don't understand the commitment and the dedication and the amount of time that's put in to achieve a black belt, right?
Right. I started training.
Explain what that was like for you to get to where you started to where you are now. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, I started wrestling in 1988. I was getting bullied a lot, and I had to find something. And I found like a real positive male role figure in my wrestling coach. And I wrestled all through, high school. And I started doing karate about 14. Actually, my physical therapist now was the person that started teaching me karate. And we started doing karate. So I always thought karate guys were real tough and watch Van Damme and stuff. And I wanted to grow up to be a fighter. And then UFC 2 we saw live. We got on pay-per-view. And the little guy in pajamas beat up the karate guy, the first fight that they showed. I was like, God damn it. I guess we wasted our time. And then I was watching, I was like, how come Hoist can't wrestle? I was like, man, I can't wait till a wrestler gets in there and shows them how to do it, And
the toughest guys. And I'm not saying wrestling is the best background, but the guy that does have wrestling and stand-up, let's say a la the way Chuck Liddell used to fight, if you can dictate where that fight goes, and you could keep it on your feet strictly by defending, and you got heat. That's an incredible tool. Plus, people didn't realize either, and I know I didn't. You guys wrestlers, you're cutting weight as kids.
Oh yeah, every day.
you're just getting destroyed. I mean, you're going through the grinder. Like when I watched comparing it to football, because I played hockey, right?
Right.
That was my thing, and that was. I thought I was in the best shape you could possibly be, until I had to deal with someone wrestling me and grappling me.
Right.
And then I realized, the worst feeling in the world is to be so gassed you can't even defend yourself, man. You can't even tap. You're so gassed. It's just like you're over.
From the time
there's two buttons on the body, right? The chin and the liver and the gas tank.
Right.
Maybe the heart.
The heart too. The heart can overcome the gas tank, but not the liver.
So how old were you when you started your discipline, and then working through to get the black belt? Because to me, that's an amazing achievement. Guys in jiu-jitsu, they work for years to get their black belts. It's a lot of dedication.
I had my first MMA fight when I was 17, and there was no rules, no gloves or anything, and we were starting to study jiu-jitsu and break it down. And then after that, we bought a whole bunch of jiu-jitsu tapes, and we were watching them, and we were training outside and in the living room and all kinds of stuff. And after that, Henzo came, and then there started to be more seminars around here. So then we started to go to seminars and actually get some my personal attention from Renzo's seminar was amazing. And then in 2006, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at Buffalo BJJ because I scheduled a pro fight and I knew I had to get some real legit Jiu-Jitsu. And there was no, when I started, there's no black belts in the area. And the best guy was a blue belt that was driving back and forth to Rochester, Josh Ketchery, who also is a black belt now, has a gym. But this guy came back from Chicago, Chuck, and he was sleeping on Carlson Gracie's couch. And he was a brown belt at the time, and he started a gym. So I went there, and I trained with him all the way through purple. That was in 2006 I started training there. And I just got my black belt a couple weeks ago. So, 12 years after I've been on the mat since I was 11 years old. It's a long time.
And again, wrestling, you learn how to compete. The fight or flight feeling, and I believe this to be true in any combat or heavy contact sport where there's fighting and you learn to get used to that feeling. You love that feeling, that adrenaline. You love it, and that makes for fighters. That makes for extreme competitors, and for you to just start fighting, especially. I'm not going to say how old you are, Dave, because that's not my place, right?
I'm almost 41, guys.
See, and that's insane, right? Now, when Randy Couture, I remember, Joe Rogan, he does tend to exaggerate on some things, right? Like Ronda Rousey could, be the best fighter in the history of the planet.
That's kind of his job. I'm just saying, he's a hype guy. That's what he's doing. What he's supposed to do. He sells it.
Well, listen, I love Joe. I really do. And I've always been a fan of Joe Rogan. Way back to news radio and, the Fear Factor, everything that I really was a fan of. His comedy, I've seen one that I like. The one thing I'll say about Joe is the interview that he did when he said, he would not interview a fighter after they've been knocked out. That's just a rule. That's a line he has. But, DC, I think we're going to need to give him a chance to speak. That was funny to me, because he immediately, after he did it, said, he didn't want to do it. I think that he did want to do it. I think Joe is a pretty classy dude, man. He's got some crazy powerful body kicks and leg kicks as well. But that was classic.
His jiu-jitsu's off the hook too, man. Like he's good. He's a neck cranker guy.
Yeah, well, he's really compact and super strong, so he's going to be kind of like the tree stump or Paul Harris, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned, Big Ray kind of not taking the leg lock classes, and I have a friend. His name is Andrew Hooper, and he trains out of Hensel Gracie's, and he trains under John Danaher. And dude, when you watch him transition into leg locks, ankle locks, just basically submissions, period, it's an amazing thing to see someone transition from and chain it. Boom, boom, boom. They're like 3 or 4 ahead of you. You don't realize it as you defend this. Now you're open, boom, and he takes your leg. And the Danaher guys are deadly, man. They will rip your leg off. They'll bust your knee off.
Yeah, they definitely changed. Definitely changed the way that no-gi's played totally now. Speaking of the Danaher Death Squad, did you see Tonan's fight this weekend or Friday, whatever it was?
Which fight? I'm sorry.
Gary Tonan's fight at one. I'm not sure. The Korean they fought in the Philippines.
No, actually, I only heard about it. I have that on DVR. I haven't been able to watch it, believe it or not, yet. But things are kind of crazy. We're getting real close to the date to getting out to Bangkok.
Yeah.
Tell me about the fight, man. What was your thoughts on it?
I only started watching it at the second round because I was at work. I had to hide out in the bathroom to watch it because they were streaming it live on Facebook as it was going on, and I really wanted to see Renzo, and so I watched them both. And Tonan's striking is legit, man. He actually he looked pretty good on the feet. A lot of my friends don't really like him. I don't know why, but I think he's pretty good. And he didn't even really go for any leg locks. He just positionally dominated his opponent, and then he ended up choking him out.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the
Yeah.
guy was that he was fighting, but he wasn't too bad. I mean, he's decent on the feet, and Tonin just was tearing him up.
Serious competitor.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, you have to be to compete like that, and that was my thing about the wrestling. You're building tough kids. You can't be lazy and be a wrestler and be on a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that wrestling does a really good job of developing is the mythology of drilling. Because you watch
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu guys drill, and even other people that haven't wrestled drill, and it's just a little bit at a different level. To do a couple reps. You watch wrestlers rep something, man. They're going 80, 90%. They're doing it full tilt, and they're doing it, and they're doing it, and they're doing it for an hour, And that's how you get better. I really believe in doing reps of the technique that you're supposed to do, even more than going
Oh,
live, to be honest with you. And
definitely.
it's a harder workout. It's a lot easier to rest going live than it is when you're trying to drill. And like you're picking this guy up and putting him down, and picking him up
Yeah.
and putting him down, and picking him up and putting him down. It's just
Well,
tough.
you know yourself, man. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And when you're drilling, it gives you the ability to learn your technique, perfectly, and be able to use that where it fits into your skill set. And that's the one thing that when I look at what Andrew's doing with all his submissions and all the guys from Danaher that are doing it, I had never noticed for a while. It's amazing because they use that move, but in their own way. It fits their way of fighting, and I mean yourself, Jeff, when you're fighting someone and you're striking and they're really awkward and everything they do is kind of unathletic and not coordinated to the eye, but the punches still hurt just as bad.
Right.
That's a weird way to have to fight someone. I mean, it's much better to get a guy that's got boxing 101. You know where he's coming from, and you can see, by his feet what you're dealing with. It's tough to deal with someone that's very, not conventional.
Yeah, very unorthodox. I definitely know what you're talking about. I've actually tried to incorporate unorthodox movements into my striking style just to make it a little bit tougher, especially going backwards and coming forwards and coming off on just a little bit of an angle that is a little bit different than boxing and Thai. And I don't know.
Hey, a half step makes the difference, and yourself when you learn those and drill those, they become habits that are good for you. It's easy to get in bad habits, and if you do a lot of drilling and a lot of practicing, and you're not working on technique, you're really doing yourself a disservice in a lot of examples that I've seen. I mean, it's a tough discipline. Every fighting is a very tough thing to do, and if you haven't been in a cage or a ring or something, it's just hard to express it to someone.
I think almost everyone should fight just one time just to have that feeling. It's a real sense of accomplishment whether you win or lose, just getting in there and dealing with the stress and the pressure and the competition. And, it sets you up for life so much because, you're going to go into a stressful situation on this one particular day. You train for it, your opponent's training for it, you go in. And the better person always wins, It shows who's got better technique and better heart, and sometimes it just shows who the better athlete was. Sometimes you're just dealt not a fair hand, and
Hey,
I
if
think
you
it's
fought
great.
in your life, and I've had uncountable fights in my life, and I've lost more fights than most people I know have ever had in their life. If you fight, you're going to lose, and if you fight, you must have that gene. You must really love that adrenaline and that feeling of fight or flight. And there's no flight, so it's just fight. And that's something that you have to experience. You have to experience, and you have to have it. A lot of people don't have that, and I think the wrestling does help build that through discipline and sacrifice, and then also competing on a high level in front of people and everything else. You get over a lot of the jitters and you realize, listen, fighting is not this terrible thing. It's not some extremely violent. Yeah, it's violent, but it's a beautiful violence when it's done by people that are extremely talented and well-rounded, let's say. So it's something that you kind of are bred for. You kind of are made, to compete at that level, because you would find something.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I agree with you.
It's one of the things that I always, and hey, listen, I used to laugh at wrestling, right? When honest to God, dude, right? I was one of those kids with the long hair, and because I was a drummer and I played. Plus, there was a thing, and it was an amazing thing to watch those guys wrestle, and I realized how hard they worked, but I didn't really realize.
Right.
So I disrespected all that. But that summer, I had all kinds of fights, right? And but the one guy that just handed it to me like never before was a wrestler, and he pretzeled me like nobody's business. And it was a very frustrating feeling, because he controlled me, he took me down, and then, it was it. It wasn't so much I got beat bad, I just was totally controlled. And
I wish you could see the big smile on my face. I love to hear a striker getting beat up by a grappler, like the old days.
Dude, I was like a child. He had got me and put me in a position I'd never even seen, much less been in. It was just like, wow, this guy's incredible. He is really, really talented. I got to say, wrestling is a pretty tough sport. But I was out of high school at that point. It was the end, and it was through summer, so it is an amazing thing. It's humbling, and I think one of the hardest physically is wrestling as well. It's grueling.
I just think that wrestling needs to take a good look at itself and like lose the singlets, go to compression shorts and tops or something. Get away from the old mentality. Revamp the scoring system so like people can understand. I mean, my wife has lived with me for 13 years. She watched me wrestle in high school. She probably couldn't tell you how to score an amateur wrestling match. I think wrestling can be big. They just have to market it. The same thing with Muay Thai in America. This is something we talked about last night on the phone, and I really wanted to get into you with this. I think Muay Thai would be huge in America, but I think they need to change a couple things about the way that the product is shown. I think we need to lose, in America, we need to lose the Y Crew and the dance and everything. Maybe put on better entrances, get some ramp up music, and just let them guys fight. And lose the Thai music while they're playing. They can play it in the arena and just cut over it or something. But I think it would be huge in America.
Listen, I agree with you that Muay Thai, and in my opinion, and I say this, Anthony always gets mad at me because I think he misunderstood the first time I said it. This, in my opinion, is the most fan-pleasing combat sport that's out there. It is the next big combat sport. Everyone, listen, they watch boxing and they watch a really good fight, and they complain because, well, he's dancing around. Well, the object of, boxing and the sweet science, fighting in general, is to hit and not get hit. So it might not make the fight everyone wants to see, which is the toe-to-toe battle. So there's no complaining about grappling, right? No offense, Jeff. There's no complaining about, just stalemate positions. This is the only thing that's been changed in the States that I know of that I think is a good thing, is to limit the clinch. If there's no damage being done in the clinch, you break it. You just can't do that. I love the throws, though, Jeff.
Yeah, I think you need to keep the throws in. I think you need to keep the elbows in because Glory takes the elbows out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't like that. I like the spinning techniques. I like the elbows. The knees are great, but they still have the knees in. I think you should be able to catch and strike after you catch, which will add sweeps back into the sport. And I think you should be able to clinch. As long as you're active in the clinch, you should be able to knee the shit out of somebody.
Without a doubt. I mean, Muay Thai guys, it's amazing to me, what they put their legs through, their shin bones, they're taking kicks like that all the time. Granted, they're smart in training. Obviously, you're not going to go around doing that. But you watch a fight, and these guys just go tit for tat for the first 30 seconds to a minute, before they start to really get throwing bombs. But really, really tough, crazy tough guys. Man, I do think that Muay Thai, if it's marketed, like you said, it's not marketed. Nobody knows, where do I watch Muay Thai? Where can I watch Muay Thai?
Right. Well, Glory and K1 has been an upsurgence, I mean, they're both popular sports now. A lot of people watch them, even that combat karate shit. And,
Glory.
All exciting. But Muay Thai is the best rule set, and I think it's the most exciting rule set. If they fix the clinch and get rid of... I know this is like insulting to the guys that actually fight, and Anthony, who's been over in Thailand and stuff, but that is not going to sell in America. It's a different culture. It's built for the Thai culture, right? We need to bring it to America and just switch it.
It's traditional,
yeah. And because Americans are not traditional, and we're a YouTube crowd. We want to see fights that are quick. We don't want to see some guy dancing. We don't want to hear some music we don't understand. We don't want to understand.
I'm going to tell you what, Jeff. I agree with you, brother. And in my opinion, that's exactly why you create the promotion that's going to give the fans exactly what they're looking for, which is two guys standing basically toe-to-toe and throwing heat with every limb, right? 8 weapons. They're just firing. Someone's going to get knocked out, or at least you're guaranteed to see some serious striking.
Yeah, so, guys going after each other, man.
I think it's great.
I love it too.
I think it's great.
What do you think about the bare knuckle boxing?
Hey, let me tell you something. I thought that Feldman did a good job putting that together. I know he's been working on it for years and years. And it was great to see a sanctioned bout. I know they have another one coming up. I think it was the 25th of August, and I was going to go to that event until I realized it was the 25th of August, because actually our event was supposed to be on the 3rd of August.
Right.
So when that got changed, I wasn't able to go. But I love bare knuckle. The politics in these types of sports, I don't want to see them, especially early on. I think bare knuckle brings a lot to the table. I mean, we've seen some good fights. Tony Lopez. I have seen Tony Lopez fight in King of the Cage, I don't know how many times, and then he's fighting here and fighting there. The guy is a fighter. He's not rich. He fights because he loves to fight, and he's good at it. And he's getting up there, but I'll tell you what, that's a dude I wouldn't want to have to fight with.
No way. We had Feldman on too, and I thought he was a great guy, and he broke it down for us a little bit. And I really like it. We got actually a guy from my gym is supposed to be on that card, Palmieri. So hopefully you'll get to see him fight. I don't know how good he is bare knuckle, but he's pretty good with gloves on.
You know what? I'll tell you, the thing about bare knuckle, and I've spoken to a few of the fighters, a lot, and you watch and you can see, and the big thing is, if you're fighting, you can't just throw bombs to the head like you can if you have gloves on.
Right. It's a different style.
You have to you'll break your hand, so you know that. It would take nothing.
Can't go to the body either, man. Can you imagine catching an elbow on your knuckles, full power? Oh, my God.
You just blow your hand out. I mean, you just literally blow it right out, and that's the thing. So you see guys... people think bare knuckle may be like a street fight, and it's just like two cats in a bag. It's not. It is a very, usually semi-slow, gradual building type of thing, or someone gets caught early. But usually you don't see guys going to the head like you would expect from watching other combat sports, from boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai.
That's what I thought until I saw the fights. They were going at it, man. Holy fuck. God.
It was an amazing event. I thought it came off really good. And it's so hard to put together something like that. Like I said, it took years to do it. I know Bobby Rizzi, he's a feller on Twitter, a guy that I know from the Roy Jones Jr. Bobby gunfight. He was working that one. I was working that too, so I got to meet him, and he's another really good guy that's working in the bare knuckle, and I think it's great, man. I think it's great. I think the more combat, the more the fans get a chance to see. I mean, at the end of the day, I truly believe in competition. I think that's something that's been kind of taken out of the normal agenda growing up. I know when I was a kid, if I didn't work harder and come in first, I didn't get a first place trophy.
For sure. Definitely. We could get into like a 10-hour millennial thing, but Joe Rogan took care of that for us.
Well, that's just it. I mean, people have to compete in order to excel, and you've got to be, if you're the best guy in your gym, Jeff, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right?
It depends if you're the best guy at every gym, then I guess it's a good thing. But if you're only the best guy at your gym, it's probably not a good thing.
Well, if you're a young John Jones, then no, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, when you go to every gym and you're the best guy, that's a good thing. When you're the best guy, you're only the best guy at your gym, it's probably not a good thing. Probably time to find a new gym.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Let
me ask.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you something real quick. What was it like having Anthony come over and train? Because I know that he teaches the young kids all the way up, and he teaches traditional Muay Thai, and he seems to be a very nice guy. Teaches well, but he seems to be pretty strict, and he's willing to get in the mix.
I actually liked it. I've done seminars with Ajahn Chai and the TBA, the Thai Boxing Association. My first crew was not a relative, but he's understudy of Ajahn Chai. So we came. I actually came from a really rigid, developed Muay Thai system, and actually Anthony was a little bit looser than I was used to, so it was kind of cool. But there's not a lot of good Muay Thai training around here. We're lucky because we're close to Canada. And we get some great Muay Thai from Canada. And I've been lucky to be experienced to have Crew Mark in my life and Ajahn Chai. But and America does not have great Muay Thai. But where we're at, we have really good Muay Thai. So it's good to have him down, though. He definitely teaches a lot different than a lot of people I know. And his style is a lot different than I'm used to. He's just like, I just grit my teeth and hit him hard. He's really a hard striker. He's not as focused on the technique and the discipline as Ajahn Chai is, but he's much more vicious, and his throws are higher impact. And the seminar was much faster paced, so we definitely worked hard. And we got to spar, which was the best part for me.
Yeah. Weren't you just tossing leg kicks back and forth a little bit?
A little bit. Anthony actually checked me with a pretty good liver kick and gave me the little nod, like in the interview.
But that was 3 or 4 times, dude. You had to be the toughest guy because, let's face it, he was way bigger than you, and that's his thing. He's in his home, and he just started punishing your body. And I knew when you landed a kick on him, and he looked at you with that weird Ted Bundy look he gets in his eyes. Well, you were in deep trouble. You were in trouble, and you went through it. You took it. You took it like a champ, dude. I was shocked, and I'm like, damn, he is tough as hell, because I know that knocked his liver out.
When I'm gonna try and post them in this thing on YouTube, and I'm gonna put them in order so it makes it look like I won at the end. I'm not gonna put it in order where it really happened. So if you've watched this and you've seen me end up looking good against Anthony, the ones that started, those are the way it really went at the end.
Well, listen, you still have to show your best side always, right?
Yeah, it's my show, so I get to make myself look good.
Well, of course. Well, listen, there's no point making yourself look bad. You already know. He knows.
Yeah.
And he knows. Everybody else really knows if they know. So if that makes sense, then...
Yeah, right, it makes sense. If anyone by now does not know, Anthony would kick my ass if we fought in Muay Thai. He might beat me in MMA too, but if I get him on the ground, dude, I'm going to twist him into a little pretzel.
I'm going to tell you something. I have, just really serious respect for Anthony as a man and as a person. The things he's done in his short, 34-year life or so is amazing. I mean, it's truly amazing. but he's a great fighter. He's a great friend, and he's very scary because there's just something about, he gets a certain look to his face. It really does look like a Ted Bundy type of when they catch him at one time. And so there's a creep factor to it, for sure. But he's serious. He's that serious.
It's a craft for him. It's not. It's a lifestyle, and it's the way he lives. It's not. Oh, we're not just sparring on Saturday.
Right.
For him, this is what I do. This is my life.
Well, he knows to teach. Listen, when he has a student that is listening and absorbing, he might even kick your ass more, but he's really teaching you. He's taking you to the point that you can go and still be, motivated, learning, and healthy and everything else. He's not out there to hurt anybody, obviously, but you have to understand this is what's coming back if you keep throwing that punch or that kick,
Yeah, it was great when we hit him. So you're going over there. Are you actually commentating these fights?
Yeah, I definitely plan on doing some color commentary. Obviously, everything was changing. We went from the 3rd and now connected and with the 23rd, which, in my opinion, I'll be honest, I think it's a blessing from the standpoint that it is on the biggest stage of Muay Thai. It's like the Madison Square Garden of Muay Thai. And there are multiple belts on the line, incredible fights. It's in Manwan's hometown, so Manwan is going to be. And by the way, this is a serious dude. This guy is 100% legit, and everything being even, you're in trouble. You got a southpaw you got to deal with. He's fast. He's coming up in weight. I mean, I think he's been at 154 for a little bit, but Anthony's coming down. It's going to be really interesting, and I guarantee you Anthony will be tested. These guys will put on one hell of a show, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It sounds like it's going to be a great fight. And he went from being a main event to like in the middle of the card, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to understand when you're trying to do business, and this was our first event as a promotion. And so we were putting this together, and some things happened that made us have to change the date. Well, we were able to work, with some really good people that we were able to get onto the card that was already existing that had, multiple title fights on it at the biggest venue in Thailand. It was a no-brainer. This is, like I said, this is, in my opinion, the biggest fight of Anthony's life. I think he's more than mentally ready. I think he's almost physically ready. He's looking really trim. If you've seen him before, and then he's really working hard. It's a big fight for Anthony, and it's going to be a big fight for Manwan. These guys they're gonna leave it all in there, and there's no doubt about that.
When you go and you commentate these fights, is it tough for you to take the emotion out? I know I've commentated fights with my friends in it, and for me, it's tough to be that impartial voice in the studio. I always either sell my friends really good or I undersell them. I don't do a very good job of that yet.
You know what? I'll tell you something. For me, the worst place to be is as a fan in the first row or two watching your friend, your fighter, fight. Then I become, because of my age and the fighter's age, it's more of the you protector role, right? Even though they're fighters and I'm not. So it's really hard. Now, if I'm cornering, then it's a whole different ballgame. When I cornered Vanessa Porto in her title fight in Invicta, I didn't even think or anything but Vanessa. So you're just in the moment, and it's a great thing. Doing the commentary, it is, again, you're still a spectator, right? You're not in the fight. When you're in the corner, you feel like you're in the fight. When you're doing the color, it's definitely a totally different ballgame, and then sometimes it is really hard to not be or say something that's, impartial or biased a little bit for one fighter because you know them very well. Like with Anthony, I love the guy. He's an inspiring dude, man. He really is. And I would be lying if I said, well, I don't want to see Anthony win. But with that being said, I take deadly serious doing the color because that is, I mean, come on. I've been doing that my whole life growing up. It is something that you should be really happy just to be able to do it. And you have to give a lot of respect to that and to the fighters, I take it really serious. So I would definitely call it exactly as I've seen it. I would try not to be partial.
Yeah, I call it as I see it too. But one great example of this is I had a teammate that fought my best friend, and that fight was really hard for me to call because, I know both these guys pretty good, but when you're calling it, you definitely flavor the way people are viewing the fight, and depending on the way you talk about the people, is sometimes that's gonna when they watch it on tape, they're gonna be like, oh, that guy won. Even what's going on in the fight as a commentator most of the time, even though you're kind of looking from one view. I don't know how you are. I always watch the fight. I don't really watch on the monitors, so I kind of get the angle, and you can just tell who's winning. But you can definitely flavor it for the other guy if you really wanted to.
Jeff, I bob and weave. My hands come up. I tuck my chin. I lean sideways. I really, really. I've always, since a little kid, and Muhammad Ali has been a fight freak. I just love combat sports in general. I have not found one I don't like, and it's an incredible thing to sit there and be able to, like you said, you do shape it. So your job is not to shape. Your job is to give the fans something that makes the fights visually more exciting, more stimulating, but you're not supposed to become as important or bring yourself up with the athletes that are the actual show. So you're just describing what you see, and you do it in the best way that you can. And if you have the knowledge, then you'll do well. If you're passionate, you'll do well. And if you continue to push it, I mean, like I said, I'm an old guy, so it's not like I've been doing color for 20 years or something.
Right.
Although I did call myself as I played hockey. I was the only hockey player in the entire city. But yeah, I tell you what, discipline is something to really, really cherish. And the wrestlers, again, I got to say, the discipline they bring to the table is just a huge, huge thing. I know Anthony's dying, and that's one of the reasons that I said that the last time there, Jeff, because I just wanted to let him know I really do. See, I watch the wrestlers. It's shocking. These young kids, I did not know that they dedicated so much, that they were cutting weight, that they were doing all this stuff. I didn't know. It's really shocking to me.
Yeah,
we'd always have the conversation of what's the best sport to have as the base, right?
Right. It's definitely wrestling.
What would you say?
Wrestling for sure, and then probably boxing. I would say second, because it's another sport where you need a lot of discipline in. Let's get back to going over the show though. Were you able to get the pay-per-view stuff yet? The information for it?
I'll tell you what. I am beyond a doubt, and earlier today was dealing with that issue, and I am trying my best to push it and get it done. No guarantee. Like I said, everything had changed for us from the 3rd to the 23rd, and from promoting to co-promoting or getting it out for everyone. So it's tough to put it together in a amount of time. But listen, I believe that we can do it. I'm hoping we can do it. It will be on Fox Sports Asia. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was going to be on Channel 5, Thai TV, and I was also hearing about France and stuff as well. So I think everyone here in the States can get Fox Sports Asia. So I hope to have a lot of fans of combat check out Muay Thai and see what these guys bring to the table, give it a shot, because I think we'll have a whole lot of people looking for some Muay Thai events.
I think so too. And one thing before you get out of here, are you going to take your Cox's Condoms business over to Thailand? I know you make those custom condoms, and over in Thailand, it sounds like those lady boys might need some custom condoms.
Now, Jeff, I've got to tell you, I kind of thought that you might bring this up, and you made it down to the wire, and I thought, it's coming any second. Just so everyone, understands, this is a work in progress, right? No, we're not going to be doing any, cross-promoting of brands, companies, anything like that. This trip is going to be all about Anthony Ford fighting for the 154-pound, WBC title, and, we'll have to keep those at home. But, I can promise you, as that moves forward, Jeff, I will come back on and update. And I think you'll be impressed.
All right.
I really do.
We're always here to plug that for you. One last thing that's a serious question.
Yes, sir.
I talked to Anthony about it, and he said that he's going to have a crew coming with him making a documentary about him, and he said to talk to you about it. So what's going on with the documentary with Anthony?
Well, I'll tell you what. I have known Anthony for what seems like forever. No, I'm joking. For the last, maybe 3 years, 2.5 years, something like that. And we kind of, we got to know each other pretty quick. And his lifestyle and the life he lives is so interesting, from growing up until where he's at now. The traveling things he's done. Just his life in Muay Thai is so interesting. And I've always seen, the documentaries out there, and I thought, it could be done better, not necessarily produced better, but the footage be literally the fighter and the daily life and all this crazy stuff. So Anthony, we talked about it. He's got all kinds of footage. I mean, it's a guy that goes to Europe for 3 months to fight in K1, upper weight division by himself, and he's in flight, tank comes back, and he's, in Thailand playing every fourth day or something. He's an impressive dude when it comes to fighting. I think Muay Thai brings so much to the table. You look at the numbers; it's pretty shocking. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the fight.
Yeah, so hopefully you get that documentary up and we can get it on Netflix, because Netflix needs some good Muay Thai stuff. I'm just saying.
Didn't you feel me try to walk around the question?
I did feel you walking around a question. That's why I've been steering you, man. You sound like you're drinking. We gotta keep you on task here. You gotta show you know how it goes, man. I gotta keep you on task. It's my job.
Well, no, listen. The thing with the documentary is it takes time, and so it's just about getting all the footage. The entire trip is going to be documented. I believe we're going to be there somewhere around 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that early. So the daily videos, putting it together, the training, the trip, the whole experience, will be in there. And I think it's going to be really interesting. And I'll tell you what, I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to see it. I really do.
I think that is a great experience to show, especially seeing Thailand. I mean, most of the people like that would listen to this show, probably the only experience with Thailand they have is watching Kickboxer or whatever movie Van Damme was in where they were supposed to be in Thailand.
Yeah. Listen, I never thought I was going to be flying to Bangkok, for a fight. But I'm glad that I am. It's going to be a great experience. It's going to be a great night of Muay Thai. I mean, the most thing I'm really, really excited about is the quality of the fights, where it's being held, and the fact Anthony's fighting for his belt. It's going to be a great night. And I hope everybody watches. I hope everybody, watches. And if you can tune in to Fox Sports Asia, then there you go.
You might not get this. You might not get this, but the people listening to this, we've got to get Dan Cox to hold pads for Anthony Ford before the fight. I think that would be an amazing part of the documentary.
You know what, Jeff? I probably wouldn't do that with anyone, but I think I would probably do that with you. We'll have to we'll have to video back and forth there. We're ringside, and listen, I'll tell you what, I'm really, really excited. It's going to be a huge experience for me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tanya Evinger is going to be coming, so it's going to be a good time, and I just can't wait to see Anthony fight for that belt.
For sure. With that, man, I think I'm going to let you get out of here. But I would say one thing that would look awesome in a documentary is getting Anthony crapping in one of the training facilities where they don't have a toilet, just pooping into the ground. He talked about that at the seminar. I think that would be a great addition to like what it's like to really train in Thailand. And the reason I wanted you to hold pads for him is he tries to make everyone poo his pants when they hold pads for him. So I think that would be an amazing experience for the documentary as well. I know I got a little gross with the poop, but I think it would be, sometimes shit sells.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, if it's a documentary, then it's supposed to be the exact facts as they unfold, right?
No, you're
I'm
supposed
all
to.
about the real stuff, right? And so I think there's so many crazy things about the customs and everything, and the bathrooms and hoses and this and that. I've only heard. I've never been there, so I'm really dependent on Anthony at this point. He could just lose me somewhere, and I'd be bumming out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. And I mean, have you seen it? It's a beautiful place. Bangkok's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And if Anthony sends you towards a woman, check yourself. Just trust me on this.
I can say this with 100% confidence, Jim. This is like always. When I go to the fights, it's business, and you just get caught up in it. It's just such a great thing to do. So that being said, I won't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's going to be a very busy thing. I'll be staying with the fighters, so get up till whenever and getting all kinds of footage and putting stuff out live as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be promoting it for a couple of weeks, on 10 days, 14 days, something like that, for on social media and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds great, man. With that, I'm going to let you go. All right?
I appreciate it, brother. And
anything else to plug? You want to plug Modern Pugilist?
What's that? Oh,
you want to plug your show, man?
Hey, listen, you know what I would plug? I would plug the 23rd of August, right, in Bangkok. And there's an incredible night of Muay Thai fights. Check it out, Fox Sports Asia. My buddy Anthony Floor going against, man, those guys are going to throw down. And it's going to be a great night of fights, man. Check it out.
All right, sounds great. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for that.
Yep, have a great day. There you have it, guys. Dan Cox. The man, the myth, the legend. Cox's Condoms. You can get the smallest ones you ever need in case you're going to Thailand. Sorry, Asians. That's about all I got for today. I wish Ray was here. Like always, he's missing in action. Hopefully everything's okay with his family in all seriousness, though. No Alex Carroll shit today since he just had his baby, too. Congratulations, Alex. And sorry, Mickey, we talked about you pooping your pants again. You're never going to live it down. All right? Killing Cage coming up September 15th. Hopefully Caveman's going to be on the card. If not, I'll be on the card sometime soon. Love you, boys and girls and whatever else is out there. Whatever you identify as, we support you. As long as you support the show. Otherwise, fuck you. We're out.